So the first part of the share is, we learned until now, Aleha, the whole heta for the whole Issa, why Yevamot is asa by Arayos, we saw, is because it says Aleha, b'makam yibum, Yavam Yavai Aleha, and it says Leisikach by Achasisha, you can't marry your wife's sister. So who adin or everything else. That's the pasuk of Aleha. Rabbi learned it out yesterday when it could have said V'lakach, and it says V'lakcha. It could have said V'yibim, it says V'yibma. That's where he learns it from. So the first part of the share is going to be, what does each one do with the pasuk? And to facilitate understanding, I have a little chart over here. To facilitate understanding, let's see this chart. Okay. So here we go. You can see this, guys, everybody? You can see it? Okay. Now, so we have the Machlokes in Rebbe and the Rabbanan. So here's the key word. The word is Aleha. Aleha, the Rabbanan used to tell me, in the place of a mitzvah, there asa, shlei b'makam mitzvah, he asur if it's a rasim muteres. If it's b'makam mitzvah, meaning Yevamot Yavai Aleha, then the Erev is asa, and the tzara, the other wife, is asa. However, if it's not b'makam mitzvah, we said the case yesterday, Harry marries the daughter and happens to have another wife, and Harry dies, then a man can marry his step daughter-in-law. That's what we use Aleha. Now, what did Rebbe do with that? That's the subject of today's share. What does Rebbe do with this pasuk? It's over here, and I'll get to there in a second. The Rebbe, he learned v'lachaloi leisha v'yibma v'yama yavai Aleha. So we said this yesterday. Right? The Rabbanan said that once you marry the Yevamah, she's a full-fledged wife. You can divorce her and remarry her. You don't need chalitza. Once she's married to you, then she's a full-fledged wife, and you can divorce her and remarry her, provided she doesn't marry somebody else. And we don't say, well, she's still your dead brother's wife. And v'yibma, that you can force her against her will. That was the Rabbanon, and the Rebbe, that's the Rabbanon did with it. And Rebbe, that was the classic. Rebbe said, v'lachas, to make the tzara asa, leishas, the garish. So basically, what we have to know for this evening is, what does Rebbe do with the Aleha? What does Rebbe do with the Aleha? That's the main focus of the share, and it's going to be a halacha in Hilchas Kachim. It's going to be a halacha in Hilchas Kachim. Now we know that there's a carbon called the carbon chatas. Now the carbon chatas, it's not equal to everybody. Meaning, a regular person, a yachid, if you did an aveira that carries with the mezid and isakaris, b'shogeg, you're going to bring a chatos. If you eat chalev, if you eat dam, if you eat nicer, anything that has a chiyuv of karis, if you go ahead and do it b'shogeg, you bring what? You bring a chatos. We have a masechta called krisis that goes ahead and describes the 36 scenarios. What does a yachid bring? He brings a female. It can be a female sheep or a female goat. That's by an individual. A nasi, let's say he's the king, he brings by a regular, if he eats chalev, b'shogeg, he brings a male goat, no sheep and no female. He brings a male goat. What about if the tzibur, not an individual, but Bezdin paskins on the tzibur that an isakaris is muta, and everyone acts upon it, then you're going to bring a par, that's called the par helim davish al tzibur. And that's going to be the limud from Rebbe. That's going to be the limud of Rebbe, the Aleha over there. It says Aleha over there. It says Aleha by Yibum, just like by Achas Isha, just like Achas Isha is a scenario of Karis. If a man marries his wife's sister, it's Karis. Hu Adin, the Par Helam Dava, where it says Aleha, is also an Issakaris. And that's it. I just gave you the Gemara. That's the line. Aleha, Aleha. Why do you want to know what Rebbe does with Aleha? Since he learns it from Balakha, he learns the Isra of Tzara. What is he doing with the Aleha? Here's what he does with it. It says by your wife's sister. It says Aleha b'chayeha, and we know your wife's sister is in the Sakaris. So too in the parsha of what? Of the Par Helam Davar, where it says the lashon of Aleha, it's Karis. Okay, that's going to be the limud, the main limud. Okay, there's another par called Par Koina Mashiach. This is all in last week's parsha, and then there's a par that the tzibur brings for Avodah Zarah. So these are all the different karbanos, and the first half of the block is going to go ahead and be learning what exactly does one do with the other. And then we're going to get to the more fun part. So let's begin. We're beginning on Ches Amid Beis. Ches Amid Beis. 4 lines from the bottom. For Rabbi, Hay Aleha, this word Aleha, my Avidlei. The Chachamim use it to tell me this din of Yibum, Batet Sarah, and the Erva that B'Makom Mitzvah, it's Mutta, it's Asar, Shalei B'Makom Mitzvah, it's Mutta. What does Rebbe do with the Aleha? What does the Rebbe do with the Chachamim's Limud? That was the sheet I showed you. Now, says the Gemara Miboyle for the following. We're going to have a half an amid of the following, and it's going to end up Aleha, Aleha. Here's what we use it for. That Ein Chayavim Bezdin. Ella aldava shezedoine kares ushigasechatas. Bezdin, when they bring their carbon, they bring the par. What avera did they paskin that they bring this par on? It's an avera that carried the penalty of kares. Now, how do you know? Maybe it's Malchus, maybe it's Mrs. Bezdin. How do you know that? Says the Gemara. V'chein hamashiach hu adin, the Kohen hamashiach who also brings a carbon. Derech agav, these karbanos are unique, because the blood is sprinkled on the Mizbeach Hapnimi and they're burnt outside. They're not burnt on the Mizbeach. These are called Chatas Penimiyos. They're not burnt. The dime is not spread on the outside Mizbeach. It's spread similar to Yom Kippur on the inside Mizbeach. And this, so we have 2 in a row. We have Kohen HaMashiach and we have Helam Davar. V'loi ba'avodas kechavim, but avodah zara, if the tzibur doesn't avodah zara, they bring 2 things. They bring the paras and oila and the seir is the chatas. One more time. If the tzibur is an Issachar, they Bezdin Paskins that the tzibur can eat chaylev, they bring a paras lechatos. If Bezdin Paskins that the tzibur can do avodah zara, right, then the paras an oila and they bring an additional seir as what? As a chatos. How do you know that what? That's what Elel comes to teach me. Olel comes to teach me that this par is brought only on Avera that carries with an Issa Karis. The Tanan Nami, Kol Mitzvah Shebet Torah, 3 lines down, Tesam and Aleph, all the mitzvahs in the Torah, Shechayav Mal Zedoinai Karis Val Shigagas Echatas. Yachid, maybe they take out the word Shigagas Echatas because this is we're learning from it now. Yachid, maybe Kisba, an individual brings, remember, he brings a female, guys. What does he bring? Kisba, a female sheep, a Se'iru or a female goat. Nasi, if he's the king, maybe Seir. He doesn't bring a female, he brings a male. And he doesn't bring he doesn't bring a ram, he brings what? A goat, a male goat. What's a male goat called? I don't know, a buck? I don't know. I guess an old goat. Mashiach, by Mashiach, what? The Kohen Mashiach, the Kohen Gadol, what psak? Ubez Mashiach Ubezdin, Meving par, they bring a par, Ubavoidis Kechavim. And if it's avodah zara, then the yachid brings what? The yachid nasi mashiach, the yachid nasi mashiach mevi and seira. For avodah zara, they bring a female goat, and sibor. If it's the tzibur that blows it, right? If the tzibur that blows it, then mevi and par. They bring the tzibur brings a par v'seir. They bring, as I told you, a par and a seir, par la'oila v'seir lechatas. That is the limud. That guys is the limud. Just 1 second, please. Okay. Now the Gemara is going to ask, where do we know this from? The Gemara is going to ask, where do we know all this Torah from? So guys, I'm giving you the answer. Here's the answer to the question. I'm giving you the last page of the book. The Gemara has a question. What does Rebbe do with the Aleha? What does Rebbe do with the Rebbe? He doesn't need it for Yevamot din. The answer is he needs it for a din and chatas. And which din and chatas? Particularly the power of the tzibur. When Bezdin goes ahead, they could incorrectly paskin halacha. The tzibur then acts upon it. Yes. That psak that they gave had to be in kares. Where do you know that from? Because it says aleha by achos ishto, by your wife's sister. To marry your wife's sister is in this kares, and it says aleha, and it says aleha by what? By the tzibur. It says the kol adas Yisrael yishko v'nelam davar me'enei hakahal v'asu achas mikol mitzvahs, and they go ahead and they Allah. It says Allah there. So therefore, since it says over there Allah, that's what we're going to learn out. So let's see the Gemara now. Minani mili. How do you know? Minani mili. How do we know this halacha? So Torah Rabbanon. Ada chatas shechatu alecha. That's the pasuk. It'll become known to chatas shechatu alecha. This is the pasuk by the of the Hamainam. Rabbi says nemar kan aleha. It says kir aleha. V'nemar lahalon aleha. And it says what by? It says by achas ishta aleha. Ma lahalon by achas ishta. To have relations with your wife's sister is an isakaris. Afkan, so to what? By the par helen davar, so now, guys, that's the limud. Now we're just going to fill in the blanks on all the other kabbanis. Where do you know that from? And it's going to be limudim from psukim. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Ashchan sibor, Mashiach minalon. Good. I know the par helen davar brings the par. Mashiach, how do you know that the Kohen Mashiach brings his power only on the same thing as the tzibur, meaning only on a chiyuv chatas? Meaning it's a chiyuv karis. Minalon dechsiv. But Mashiach, what does it say by the Mashiach? It says la ashma sa'am. It says it's a funny lashon, to the guilt of the That's what it says by the Kohen. Harya Mashiach kitzibur, by saying the word la ashma sa'am, connotating that the Kohen is like the Kohen Gadol is like the tzibur. So just as the tzibur is only on an Issakaris, so too the Kohen HaMashiach brings his power on an Issakaris. So we've got the power by two. We've got the power by the tzibur through Aleha, and we got the power by the Kohen through Ashma Sa'am. Now, Yachid Vinasi, what about a Yachid Vinasi? Now, a Yachid, again, we said a Yachid is going to bring a female sheep, and a nasi is going to bring a male sheep, a male goat. What? On a chiyuv of karis. How do you know on a chiyuv of karis you bring a chatas? Asya, mitzvahs. It says, what's the mitzvahs? By Yachid, it says, v'nefesh achas techta b'shkoga me'am ha'aretz ba'asosa achas mi mitzvahs Hashem. It says by the nasi, kol asher nasi yechtav asa achas mikol mitzvos. And it says by the tzibur, it says, so guys, look at my fingers. We have mitzvahs by Yachid, mitzvahs by Nasi, and mitzvahs by Tzibur. By Tzibur already we've established that it's only by what? From Aleha, we've established that the Tzibur is only by a chiyuv karis. And it says mitzvahs. So now using that derech, just like par, we know it's only a chiyuv karis. From Aleha, from Achas Isha, now we know what it says mitzvahs. It says by what? By Nasi mitzvahs. It says by Yachid mitzvahs. Memela, Yachid and Nasi will be just like the of the tzibur, and just like the tzibur is the chiyuv karis, so too the Yachid and the Nasi will bring their kabbanis of a chatas only by a chiyuv karis. In other words, this is a din that you know for sure. Well, you know that what? You don't bring a korban stamazoi for an Aveira, a sin offering. A sin offering is only brought about when what? When you have a chiyuv karis. This is the source. This is the source right here in here. And now we know it. Again, one more time, let's go over it. We know power of tzibur, that's your starting point. From Aleha, this is how we got into it in the first place. And Aleha, it says by Aleha, by Achasisha, by your wife's sister's a chiyuv karis. It says Aleha by the power of the tzibur. So now it's a chiyuv karis. We know Kohen Mashiach because it says la'ashma sa'am, and that means we compare it to the tzibur. And now we're saying the Yachid and a Nasi, we know because it says mitzvahs. And since it says mitzvahs there and it says mitzvahs by the power of the tzibur, so we know it's all a chiyuv karis. So right now everything is great. Now, tzibur ba'avodas kachavim. Now, how do you know that tzibur by avodas zara? Now, guys, that tzibur by avodas zara, he's going to bring a paris and oila and a seres achatas. Where do you know that from? It says Yolaf me'ene me'ene. Yolaf me'ene me'ene. We have a limud me'ene. It says by the tzibur. It says v'nelam dava me'ene akahal, and it says in Parsha Shlach by the not. But it says v'hoya me'enei ha'eda nesel ishkaga v'yasu kol ha'eda par ben baka. Then it says it's going to be a par as a chatas. So it says me'enei me'enei. So I know me'enei. It says in Parshas Vayishlach me'enei that it says in Vayikra Dalet. Yachid Nasi Mashiach. Where do you know they are a din of avodah zarah from? The nefesh achas echad yachid. The nefesh achas echad yachid v'echad nasi v'echad Mashiach. It says nefesh, one person. Whether it's a yachid, whether it's a nasi, it's a Mashiach. In Bamidbar Tesvav, it says they bring a what? They bring a sira. They bring a goat. The mashma vav moisiv al inyan mishain v'yil moy nefesh v'yil tachna milne elyon. The vav we have an addition. It says by Midbar Tesvav Chaf Beis. It says by the Yachid V'Nasi Mashiach. It says by the Tzibur, right, from the Elyon. So below the pasuk below is Yachid V'Nasi Mashiach. The above is considered as what? The Elyon is the Tzibur, right? So now the Elyon we already established from Einei Me'einei. Guys, we established Elyon that by the Tzibur that Me'einei Me'einei they're going to bring what for Avodah Zarah. So to the Tachton Yachid V'Nasi Mashiach they're going to bring their Sira for Avodah Zarah. For Rabbanon, high Svarim Minalahu. The Rabbanon who learn Aleha, guys, the Rabbanon who learn Aleha, that Aleha teaches me a din in Yibum. Where do they know all these chatas from? Rabbi learns it from chatas. Where do they know it from? Right? Where do they know it from? So Rabbanon high Svarim Minalahu. Nafkalahu midikari le Rabbi Yeshua lebrei. Rabbi Yeshua called his son. This is Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Torah achasi alachem. In Pashas Shlach it says one Torah should be to you. Lo'isa bishkaga, to those who go ahead and act b'shogeg. Torah achas yelachem lo'isa bishkaga. V'nefesh shetasa biyad rama, and the nefesh that goes ahead what and does it b'mezid. He does it b'mezid. Hukish kol Torah kula avodas kachavim. We make a hekesh between everything to avodas zara. Ma avodas zara avodas kachavim davar shechayav mazdoin karis v'ashigas echatas. Af kol davar so to any avera shechayav mazdoin karis v'ashigas echatas. I found the Yachid V'Nasi and Mashiach, whether it's by the Zorah Shah Mitzvah that they bring their Kabbanis Chatas. Tziba by the Suchav Minayin. How do you know the Tziba by the Zorah? Amakra the Im Nefesh. We have it says the Vav. Vav connects the Elyon to the Tachton. The Yirmal Elyon will learn the Elyon, which is what is the Tzibur Mitachton from the Yachid. El Tziba B'Shar Mitzvahs Minalon. According to what? According to the Chachamim, where do you know the Par B'Shar Mitzvahs? Yalef me'ene me'ene. He learns the me'ene me'ene from what? From Vayikra Dalet to what? To Shalach. It says me'ene ha'eda. For Rabbi, high Torah achas ma'yav. Rabbi, what do they do with the Chachamim's limud? We boil it for the Tanya. Fishametzinu shechalak hakosav ben yechidim lemerubim. Guys, if one person is over avodah zarah, he shogeg, he brings a seira. What happens if a city, an Eri Dachas, Roiv of the city does avodah zarah? What do they bring? Says the Gemara. So this is the Chetanya. If Yishamatzin, we find shechilek hakosav ben yechidim lemerubim. We find the difference between an individual who's over avodah zarah and a klal that's over avodah zarah. Yechidim beskila. The yechidim they get skila. Lefikach mimaynam palat. Therefore, if an individual serves avodah zarah b'mezid and he gets stoned, which is the most severe, his children do inherit him. Merubim, a city that does avodah zarah, roiv tzibor, b'sayif. They don't get skila. They get decapitated. They get killed by the sword. Lefikach had say mimaynam avad. Therefore, you have to take all their spoils and burn it in the city. You can't keep it. So I would think since they're distinct in this way, Yochel Nachlik B'Karbanos Sehem, I might think that they bring different karbanis. Maybe the individual that does avodah zarah brings a seira, but the city that does avodah zarah does not. One big Torah that the individuals also will bring a seira. Whether it's a large city, if it's a city that does avodah zarah, or individually, you're going to bring what? You're going to bring a seira. Yes, Rav Chilki Me'agunya. The reason why we make a head and two shtel erni dachas to the individual, because you say there's one ganze Torah in chatas that you're always going to bring the same one. Halav hachi without this pasuk have amin and chalik. I might think of what that you brings a different carbon. In other words, we have a limud now to teach me that erni dachas and a yachid are exactly the same. Mashma without this pasuk that erni dachas would bring a different carbon. The Gemara now will go through the process of elimination and say, what other carbon could they possibly bring? Again, one more time. According to Rabbi, Torah Achas, the Chacham used Torah Achas to teach me din chatas. Rabbi used the din of Torah Achas to teach me a din in Erni Dachas and Erni Dachas and an individual that they both bring the same carbon. Mashma without the pasuk, you say they bring a different karbonis. The Gemara now will go through the possible karbonis that the city that did Avodah Zarah could possibly bring, and by the possible elimination, we're going to say it has to be a seira. So it's a seira. Why do I need a pasuk? Even without the pasuk, you're going to bring a seira. Says the Gemara, my lacy, what would he bring? Lacy par, to say that the city of Yoni Dachas is going to bring a par, Sibor b'sham mitzvah sudemaisi. That par is unique for the Tzibor and the Kohen Mashiach. Kisba, to say you bring a female sheep, Yochid b'sham mitzvah sudemaisi, right? That Yochid brings the b'sham mitzvahs. Seir, to say to bring a male goat, as Yankel said, a billy goat, right? Nasi b'shar mitzvahs sudemaisi. A nasi b'shar mitzvahs, that he brings that. Parla oila b'seir lechatas, to say he brings two karbonis. A parla oila b'seir lechatas, that's a tzibur by the skov of the maisi. Velamai, what's left? Seira. The only thing left by the process of elimination is a female goat. Yachid nami hainu karbona. Yachid also will bring that goat. So Fred Kasha, why do I need the pasuk of Torah Achas to teach me that? Even without the pasuk, I would know ultimately through the process of elimination, it's got to be a female goat. Says no, I still need the pasuk. Since the tzibur, if they did avodah zara, they bring a paris and oila and a ser lechatas. Inu nami naisi ibcha. The roiv of the sir nidachas, I'd say they bring a paris a chatas and a ser is an oila. I would say they bring the opposite. Inami, or else sarach ve'imay takana. They have to bring another possible carbon, but there is no other possible carbon. So maybe they won't get a kapara. Kamash malon Torah Achas yelachem, that the city of avodah zara of the Erni Dachas, they bring the same carbon as an individual. Okay, let's just summarize what we had so far, and then we're going to begin a whole different sugya. We all know by now the Bryson Gimel Amid Beis, the of Isha L'Chaisle Sikach right L'Galavasa Aleha B'Chayeha. You shouldn't go ahead, and we learned out the Haleha B'Mokem Yibam Yama Yabeleha. It says like Sikach, and we learned out that Dafka B'Mokem Yibam is the Tzara Asar, because it says Litzrar. Masha'en came Shalei B'Mokem Mitzvah. The case of yesterday, your daughter gets married to a man and has a tzara, and then the man dies, you would be able to go ahead and marry the tzara because it's Shalei B'Mokem Mitzvah. The Chum, you learned that from Alecha. Rebbe learns that out from it says V'locha and V'yibma, and he doesn't. So what does Rebbe use Alecha for? He uses it for the din to teach me this unique din by what? By the par helam davar of the tzibor, that you're going to only bring it on a chiyav oila. That has to be a chiyav karis. It has to be a chiyav karis. Along the way, then we brought in, that halacha. What about the din of the yachid that he brings this and the Mashiach brings that and so on? And we brought sources for that. There was a mitzvah, so me'ene, different limudim. Okay, that's the end of that sugya. Now, for all intents and purposes, we begin Yevamot. We're going back to analyze the Mishnah. And if you recall, the Mishnah said there were 15 tsaros, that if they were married to a man's brother, and that man's brother died, and now two people are falling in front of them, Chana, who is the tsara, one of the 15, Chana, who's the erva. Chana is the erva. It's either his daughter, his granddaughter, his mother-in-law, was married to the brother, and there's a tsara panina. That relationship will pata. In other words, since you can't marry the erva, you can't marry the tsara. There was 15. The Gemara is going to suggest now the following. Maybe there's a 16th. Okay, what's the 16th? Right? What's the 16th? It would be the following case. Let's see. Let's open up. We'll tell you the following case. Page 39, picture 37. Okay, everyone have their book, I hope so. Page 39, this is Imoy anusas aviv, his mother, who had been raped by the father. What does that mean? Here's the case. You have Yaakov, he has two wives, Leah and Chana. Leah is his full-fledged wife. Chana is not his wife. Chana is a woman that he had forced himself upon. That's the funny diamonds connecting Yaakov to Chana. So Leah is his real wife, and Chana was a person that he had relations with by force. He has two children, Ruvain from his real wife, and Yosef from the Anusa. Now, Ruvain and Yosef are both in the Parsha of Yibum because they're paternal brothers. They're paternal brothers. You can see that by the vest on the right side. You notice that the vest is divided. The right side shows that they have the same father, Yaakov. The other side shows they have two different mothers, Leah and Chana. Good? Now, Ruvain now goes ahead and he marries the woman that his father forced himself on. That's Anusas Aviv. We had a machloikis, guys, on Daf Dalid, right? Whether Anusas Aviv is permitted or not. Loit Chachamim it is. Loit Rabbi Yehuda it's not. That was the kash of Smuchin, Midash and Smuchin, right? So Ruvain now marries Chana, who had been a woman that had been forced himself by the father. Now Ruvain has a Penina. So now there's two women, Chana and Penina. Ruvain consequently dies, 37.3. Ruvain consequently dies. So what's happening now? Chana, the wife of Ruvain, is falling to Yibum to what? His brother Yosef, right? The brother Yosef. Now, Ruvain has what? Has a Tsara Penina. So why can't Yosef be Meyabin Penina? Because she's the Tsara of Anusas Aviv. His mother, right? Yosef's, Chana is Yosef's mother. So it's Imo, his mother, Anusas Aviv. Imo, what's the relationship between Chana and Yosef, guys? It's his mother, yes? You see it? It's his mother. So he's Imo, Anusas Aviv. So therefore, just like Yosef can't marry Chana because it's his mother, he can't marry Penina. Now that wasn't stated in the Mishnah. That was not stated in the Mishnah. So the Gemara is going to ask, why not? Why do you limit it to 15 when I have a 16th? We want, guys, look at me. We want to have a case where because of the relationship between one of the people falling to him, you can't marry the other one. This is the case. Yosef can't marry Chana because Chana is his mother. So therefore he can't marry Penina. Why was this case not learned in the Mishnah? That's the question. So let's see it inside. Says the Gemara. Amalei Levi LeRebbe. Levi, who was a Talmud of Rebbe, says to Rebbe the following: My area the 20 Tesvav. Why do you learn 15? Lisni Tezayin. Learn 16. So Rebbe anticipated what was the 16th. So Amalei said Rebbe to Levi, Kimedumani she'en lo moich b'kadkadai. It seems to me you don't have what? A brain in your head. Ayin shuvas chavas yar kufnan beis, what he meant to do. He was giving him a little musa. You should have looked into this much better before you asked me this question. My daitcha. What's your das for number 16? Imoy anusas aviv. Imoy, it's Imoy anusas aviv. It's your mother who was what? Who was forced by your father. And Anusas Aviv is put to the Rebbe Yehuda of Rabbanon. It's the machlokas between Rebbe Yehuda and the Rabbanon. He who plucked the loikamari. And we're not speaking about a machlokas. We're not discussing machlokas. We're learning questions that are what? That are unequivocally. Guys, take a look back at Daf Daled for a second. Count up 16 lines from the bottom. The Gemara wants to know, how do you know in Mishnah Torah Yadash and Smuchin? Says the Gemara that A man can marry a woman that his father had forced himself upon physically or talked into it. Skip down a line. Rabbi Yehuda says anusas aviv is aser. So says Rabbi to Levi, back by us, you know why I didn't list this case, number 16? Our Mishnah, the 15, we're speaking about where there is no machlokis. Everyone agrees that these 15 arayos, if they fall to Yibum with its Sarah, that Sarah is off the hook. Not everyone agrees to this. Rabbi Yehuda says it doesn't exist because a man cannot marry his what? A man can't marry a woman who had been with her father by force. So since that doesn't exist like Rabbi Yehuda, I didn't learn it. Good. Now the Gemara is going to challenge that and show that in fact Rabbi did learn cases of machlokes, and therefore you should have learned anusas aviv. In other words, it has to be in every case that Rabbi brings in that he's not speaking about machlokes. And we're going to see there are cases where he did. So if that's the case, then he should have learned the 16th case of our Mishnah, a case where a man married the woman that his father had forced himself upon. Good. Says the Gemara now. Okay. You're not speaking about machlokes. V'loi vari issa mitzvah, the issa kedusha. Guys, an issa mitzvah is a sheni laroyas. We'll get to that on Daf Chaf Aleph. Right now, it's beyond the scope of the share. The issa kedusha. In addition, an issa kedusha where a man marries a mamzeres. He means he marries someone who is a chayve lavim, and they're falling to that. In that case, guys, kedushin's toifsim b'chayve lavim. You know you're not allowed to marry a mamzer or mamzeres. If a man would marry a mamzeres, then die, and the mamzeres is falling to a brother, he has to give a chalitza. He has to give a chalitza. And Rabbi says, no, you don't have to give chalitza, you go free completely. Okay? So says the Gemara, the pligi Rabbi Akiva Rabbanon, that they argue about that, right? They argue over that. Fikatani, and we learned that. Says the Gemara, the Pirkin Karminan, I meant in a perik. I did not mean in another perik, and that's going to take place in another perik. So it holds true, says Rabbi. The reason why he didn't learn Nusas Aviv, it's a machlokes. There's a machlokes that Rabbi did learn, the machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim regarding marrying what? A chayve lavim. That is in a different perik, not in our perik. Fred the Gemara, v'habeshamay matirin esat soris la'achin, ubesilul oisrin. We learned the first Mishnah. Mayo, in the middle of share.
Oh, middle of share. What's your address?
1462 East 35th. But in the middle of share, where are you? Okay. We learned as a fait accompli that everyone holds that. Let's go first case to the Mishnah. If a man's brother marries his bitoi from anusas bitoi and has a tsara, he dies and it falls in front. His daughter's falling in front of him. That a patas the tsara. Beis Shammai disagrees. Beis Shammai says that tsara is muta. Asa meaning you have to do yibum. You have to do yibum. So you see what? You see that it's machlokes. Yet it's learned. So you want to say Rabbi didn't list machlokes. The whole first Mishnah is a machlokes. Beis Shammai argues in the whole 15 cases. So Fred the Gemara, Beis Shammai matirin esat tsaris la'achin, Beisil oisrin, says the Gemara, Beis Shammai b'makom Beisil in a Mishnah. When it comes to we know that the Baskol came out and Daf Yud Gimel and Erevin and declared them halachas like Beis Hillel. Therefore, Beis Hillel b'makom Beis Shammai ain't a Mishnah, and therefore it's not considered machlokes. So far, held true. We're not speaking about any machlokes whatsoever. Okay, now there is one case of machlokes. Let's see this case, and page 16. Page 16, guys. This is the case of Eishes Achiv Shleihoye Ba'alamo, your wife's the brother that wasn't in this world. Starting 14:1. Okay, there's Ruvain and Shimon are brothers. Ruvain is married to Chana, and Ruvain dies. If the Ruvain dies, guys, this is important. If the Ruvain dies, Levi is born. Levi is born. In other words, Ruvain and Levi were never in the world at the same time. In other words, when Chana fell to Yibum, there was only one brother. The brother was Shimon. Levi is the Eshes Achiv. Chana is the wife of a brother. Because Ruvain was never in the world at the same time as Levi. Guys, good? Now, 14.3, no problem. Shimon is Miyabim Chana. No, there's no arroyas there. Classic case of Eshesach. He goes ahead. That's the band-aid in between. Goes ahead and is Miyabim. And now, consequently, Shimon dies. And falling in front of Levi are two women, Penina and Chana. Now, Chana was Ruvain's wife. And she's Asar al Eshesach Shleihaya Ba'alamo. So Memela Penina cannot go ahead and marry Levi because the fact that Chana is an erva, pat is what? Now, guys, there's a chiddush here. What would happen if the following scenario? Let's redo it. Let's say Shimon was Miyabim Chana, and then Levi's born. And then Shimon dies. Could Levi marry Chana because she was married to Shimon when Levi showed up in the world? In other words, in the case we did over here, we have death, birth, Yibum. Death, birth, Yibum. We have death, birth, Yibum. We have death, birth, Yibum. We have that order. Death, birth, Yibum. That's what we have, right? What would happen if you'd have the following? Death, Yibum, birth, and then death of the second brother. Would the Levi be able to marry Chana because when he was born, she was married to Shimon? And the answer is like the Chachamim, no. Like the Chachamim, Levi wasn't in the world when Ruvain died. She remains forever. Eishes Achiv Shleihaya Ba'alamo. Rav Shimon disagrees. And that second scenario, Rav Shimon would say that what? Rav Shimon would say that what? That it does exist. Let's see it inside. It says the Gemara. V'hari Eishes Achiv Shleihaya Ba'alamo. The case of Eishes Achiv Shleihaya Ba'alamo Amid Beis. Nice little daf, guys, right? No problem, yeah? Did Polig Rav Shimon? Rav Shimon disagrees. He says that what? That you could marry. Says Gemara Rav Shimon Rabbanon V'Katani, and we learned in our Mishnah. And for the Gemara, B'noilad ul b'soif yibeim loy Polig Rav Shimon. If he's born, and in the end, right, then you do Yevamot, then he would agree. In other words, Rav Shimon would agree with what we just did. That case that we did on page 16. Guys, what happens? Ruvain dies, right? Ruvain dies, Shimon doesn't do Yibum, and Levi is born. Noilad, Ulabasayf Yibum, and then Shimon does Yibum after. So Shimon's mode in that case, and that's the case of our Mishnah. Noilad, Ulabasayf Yibum, where first Levi was born, and then Shimon did Yibum, like Polygraph Shimon. He argues in this case as well. Says Gemara, Rabbi was slugged up. Okay, that's the easy part of the daf, guys. That's the easy part of the daf. To understand the next daf, there's three scenarios. The first one, once we get this down, everything is going to go geschmiert. Guys, I'll explain to you everything, the Rashi, hang in there. Don't be intimidated. This is the beginning of Yevamot. I got it, you're going to get it. And I don't care how long it takes, you're going to get this. No, this is not it. You're going to get it when I learn how to use this stupid thing. Can you see this? Guys, can you see this?
No, we can't see anything.
You don't see anything? Okay. Now, you got to be able to see it now, right?
Yeah, we see it.
What?
Yeah, it's good.
You good it?
Good.
You guys, you got it? Okay. You got to look at. Anyway. Okay, let me make this a little larger. Let me make this a little larger. Okay. Guys, you all can see this, right?
Wrong.
No, we can't see it now. We lost
Can't see
it.
it?
Nothing.
Nothing. This is terrible. I feel terrible.
You had it a minute ago.
Okay, one more time. I try to get a little larger, that's all. I try to get this a little larger. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. Okay, that's not.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's not the one I want.
Oh,
It's not the one I want. Oh, yeah. Okay, one more time. This is the one I want. Could you see this? Do you see this? Yes or no?
Nope, we do not see it.
Now you see it, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, guys, watch. Here's the key. You have 4 brothers. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 2 sisters. Again, this is the most important part you have to get. This is the most important part. You got 4 brothers and 2 sisters. 2 of the brothers married 2 of the sisters. So this brother is married to this one, and this one is married to this one. Got it? 2 brothers married to 2 sisters. These 2 brothers die. So now you have 2 sisters falling to 2 brothers, the 2 remaining brothers. The halacha is, midoraisa, they should be able to go ahead and do yibum. But midrabana, they made a gezerah. It looks like achos ishtoi. It looks like, since this one and this one, we say zika guys can marry this one, and this one can marry this one. Each one seems like you're marrying your wife's sister. In other words, we know when a man dies, there's an invisible connection. It's not a strange woman. She can't marry to the street because of, unless she gets chalitza, because the dead brother created a bond that's called zika. So these 2 women are zakik to this one, and these 2 women are zakik to this one. So watch. If I marry this one, it's a shtickle like I'm marrying the sister of my wife. If this one marries this one, it's a shtickle. So therefore, you can't marry him. Harielu chaltzois, you give chalitza, that's the shoe. V'loy misyabois, lefisha shteyim zekukois lezeh. Each one is zakuk, ushteyim lekukos lezeh. These 2 are zakuk to this one, and these 2 are zakuk to this one. So it appears like it's what? Achos ishtay. Guys, did you get that? Guys, did you get that? Guys, if you didn't get it, let me know, because again, you won't understand the Gemara. Again, so here's what's happening. You got 4 brothers marrying 2 sisters. 2 of them die. Now these 2 sisters are falling from these 2 brothers. So you know what? It comes, it's like 2 sisters falling to 1 man. And just like 1 man can't marry 2 sisters, so too they can't be miyabim. That's called achas kukasai. Now let's get 2 variables. What happens if one of these women is an erva to one of them? In other words, one of them could be one of the 15 in our Mishnah. Let's say they're 2 falling, and so one of them, there's only 1 zika. I'll give you the case. Let me give you the case. Page 42. Page 42. Again, we always start off the same thing, guys. There are 4 brothers and there are 2 sisters. Good? So now, go to line 2, 40.2. You have 2 sisters, Machla and Noah. And Noah has a daughter, we call her Bas Noah. Good? Bas Noah. Now, you have the 2 brothers marrying the 2 sisters. We have Shimon marrying Noah. And we have Levi not marrying the other sister, but Levi marrying the daughter of what? Of Noah. Good? Levi is marrying the daughter of Noah. Now, if Shimon, so Reuven marries Machla. Reuven's married to one sister. Shimon is married to the other sister. And Levi, the 3rd brother, is married to the daughter of Noah. Good? So now, Reuven and Shimon die. So the 2 sisters, Machla and Noah, are falling in front of Levi and Yehuda. Now, Levi has no problem marrying. Levi is married to Bas Noah, right? So therefore, Noah is the mother-in-law. So therefore, he can marry Machla because there's nothing stopping him from marrying Machla. There's only one Zika, the Zika of Machla to Levi. On the other hand, to Yehuda, he can't marry Machla. He can't marry Machla or Noah. Why? Because to Levi it's achos kaso. Both Noah and Machla are sisters. Yehuda has no erva, has no relationship. Only Levi has a relationship through the daughter of Noah. So this is a case asur lezeh mutar lezeh. In other words, you added another variable. What did you do? You took achas ukasai and you said, well, it's not only that it's a sister. In addition to being a sister, it's a mother-in-law. That mother-in-law created the erva. So Memela, to the son-in-law, you only have one woman falling. The mother-in-law is an erva, one sister's falling. He could do yibim. Therefore, Levi can go ahead and be miyabim a machla. On the other hand, Yehuda has no relationship with Bas Noah. All he has is 2 sisters falling in front of him from the dead brother, and he can't marry. So that would be asur lezeh. That would be what? Asur lezeh, asa to this one and asa to this one. Guys, you good? This Rashi, this long Rashi, says that this scenario is by all 15 cases. This scenario, I'm not going through them. This scenario that we just painted out is by all cases. So just one more time. One more time. You have perfect case. You have 4 brothers, 2 sisters. 2 brothers marry 2 sisters, they consequently die. 2 sisters falling in front of 2 brothers, they can't marry. That's achos l'kukaso. It's like achos ishto. However, if one of the brothers has an erva, in this case we said the brother, it's what? It's the mother-in-law. So the one that's the son-in-law could marry the other one, because since he can't marry this one, there's only one zika. Conversely, this one, it's 2 sisters and he can't marry. I think if you couldn't get into pictures, you definitely got it in the hands, right? You wiggle the fingers, it works a little bit. Any questions, guys? It's geschmack, right? I love when I say right, meaning I hope it's geschmack. You know, I say right. Okay. Anyway, this is the discussion. Now there's a 3rd scenario. This 3rd scenario is when you have. Okay.
Lace, why are we bringing this case in again? I'm lost over there.
What?
Why are we bringing this?
You'll see why. We'll put it all together. We'll put it all together. Okay. Let's start. Let's begin. So right now, let's lead in. Rabbi said to Levi commented there should be 16, thinking that what you should have the case of imo manusasai that would pater it Sarah. Rabbi said, but that's machloikis between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. We're not thinking of machloikis. The Gemara said you're not dealing with machloikis. 1 second. What about machloikis Rabbi Akiva? That's in the 2nd parak. Another parak. What about the machloikis between Beis Shammai and Hillel? Ain't a mishnah, no machloikis. What about Eishes Achiv Shloi Hoi Ba'alamai? That's the machlokes of Shimon. And the case our Mishnah is speaking is the case of Shimon is Maida. What's the case? That case is where the Yibum took place before the child was born, after the child was born. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and lead up to a question that L'chaira, Reb Chia is speaking that it's machlokes. Reb Chia was the Talmud of Rabbi. So Reb Chia is speaking it's machlokes. It must be speaking about Rabbi. So we're bringing in all these things about a machlokes. Says the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Rav Yehuda Amarav, v'chein tani Reb Chia, b'kulan, all of the 15, ani koyer behen, I can go ahead and call, asur lezeh, it can be asa to one, umuteres lezeh, and it can be mutter to the other one. V'asur lezeh, muteres lezeh. V'achoysa sheyivimtoi chaletzes misyabemes, and the sister, you'll do the yibo mechalitza. That was the case of what? The case that we had of Noah, you couldn't marry, Levi could marry the other one. Rabbi Yehuda, now, those 15, Rabbi Yehuda mitargem, mechamosa ve'elech. That we said that all of them can transpire can only be from chamoso and onwards. In other words, guys, if you remember the first 6 cases of the Mishnah, had to be speaking where a man was ma'anis a woman, bitoi, bas benoi. Go just quickly back to the pictures. Look back at the pictures of page 3, quickly. Page 3, line 1, 2. You see, Reuven's daughter with Chana came about as a result of that he was ma'anis. That's those funny lines. Next page, Bas Bitoi, line 2, 2. Again, Anusa. Page 5, line 3, 2. A case of Anusa, right? All these cases have to be a case of Anusa. So therefore, we're going to bring Chamoso. We're going to start from page 9. We're going to start from page 9. So that Rebbe said that you have cases where it can be asal lezeh or mutal lezeh, Turgmin mechamosa ve'elech, only from the case of chamosa and onwards. Aval shisa bate deresha, the first 6 cases low. My timer, kivin the bitoi be'oinsin mishkachas v'loy law b'nesuin loy mishkachas law. Since you only find bitoi by the case of aranusa and not by the case of a nesuin, b'nesuin kamari b'oinsin loy kamari. We're only speaking about a case of nesuin. We're not speaking about a case of anusa. Even that, why? So, according to him, if you're speaking about anusa, you should have 16 cases. But the case of Eishes Lachem, I won't count, my timer, because Kivin Reb Shimon who Mishkachas law, you only find it according to Reb Shimon in that case. In other words, only Reb Shimon could hold that a brother can marry Eishes Lachem Lamo. The Rabbana like Mishkachas law and B'plukta like Kamairi. So therefore, Abaya learns it one way, Rav Yehuda is Matargim another way, and again, it's leading up to a question. Rav Safra Matargim, Af Eishes Lachem Shlehoya B'Lo, U'Mishkachas law B'Shisa Achim, V'Aliba the Rav Shimon. Okay, let's get this case. This is page what? This is page 66. This is a difficult case. Let's get the case down. This is a 2-pager, guys. You're going to have, starting off the same scenario, page 66. 4 brothers, Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. 2 women, sisters, Machla and Noah. Okay, 2 brothers get married. Reuven marries Machla, Shimon marries Noah. No problem. How now, Reuven dies. And when Reuven dies, there's another son that's born. Yisachar is born, guys, right? So you have Reuven dying, Yisachar being born, and now the case of Yibum, Levi is Miyabe Machla. Guys, get the order. Noilad, Mace, Noilad, Yibim. Mace, first Reuven dies, then Yisachar is born, then Levi does what? Yibum to Machla. Guys, good? Now, next page, 58.5. Shimon dies, and Shimon had been married to Noah, and Zvulin's born. So Zvulin and Yisachar are both Eishes Achiv Shleyav Lamo, but only to certain people. Next line. Now Yehuda goes ahead and it's Miyabim Noah. And now, consequently, Yehuda dies, and falling in front of the 2 brothers who are Yisachar and Zevulun are falling the woman Machla and Noah. Now Yisachar can marry Noah because Yisachar was in the world when Shimon Yisachar and Shimon were in the world at the same time. Yisachar had married Noah. However, Zevulun can't marry Noah because Zevulun was not in the world at the time that Shimon did Yibum. Right? Conversely, Yisachar could marry Zvulun could marry Machla because he was in the world at the same time. So this is a case later of Shimon. You have Eishes Achush Lo Yibal that you'd have that it would be Mutta. So now this is the case. 6 brothers, guys. Umishkachasta b'shisha achim Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda Yisachar and Zvulun, according to Rav Shimon, who allowed them to get married. Yisimonecha, the simon of you finding the case would be Meis Reuven, Noilad Yisachar, V'yabim Shimon. Meis Shimon, Noilad Zevulun, V'yabim Levi, right? That would be the order. So now, what's your kasha? Let's see Rashi. Alma, top line, Alma, Midetani Reb Chia, who was a Talmud of Rebbe, Bekulan Ani Koyer Behen, in all the cases, I can find a case where it's mutter lezeh v'nasa lezeh, va'afilu be'eshes achiv shlehoya ba'olam, which is own machloikus between Reb Shimon and the Chachamim. Alma tana de masnisan, tana plukta, the Reb Chia amasnisan kai, because Reb Chia is going on a Mishnah. Okay, guys, outside, and you're gonna get it. We're gonna call it a day. We began the sugya by saying, let's get a 16th. The 16th would be a case of anusas imoy. Rebbe said, we're not speaking about machlokes. What happens if I can prove to you we are speaking about machlokes? Then you have a kasha. Why didn't you include that 16th case? I'm giving you, forget all the middle stuff, right? Guys, watch. If I can prove to you a 16th case, right, of a case of machlokes, then I have the 16th case. I have the case of imoy anusas avit, right? The first thing that we began with. How do I prove to you is speaking machlokes? Who went ahead and said all the cases of brothers marrying sisters, if it's mutter to one to the other, we go back and forth? Reb Chia. Reb Chia brought in the case of Eishes Achiv Shlehoya Balamo by 6 brothers. The first 4 and the latter 2 being Yisachar and Zevulun, but the Eishes Achiv Shlehoya. Now, that scenario is only a possible like Reb Shimon. Because late the Chachamim, you could never marry Eishes Achiv Shlehoya. Whether, no matter at which point in time, whether he was born after the evening, before the evening, it doesn't exist. It only exists like Reb Shimon. And Reb Chia brought it in. So you see, Reb Chia, who was a Talmud of Rebbe, is speaking b'machlokes. That's the kasha. Got it? That's the long-winded kasha. That's the kasha. That's the kasha. What's the answer? Take out the word Ella. Take out the word Ella. Rebbe hani klali lesle. Rebbe does not hold to those rules. Reb Chia's rules that he went ahead and said machlokes. Look, Rashi. Rebbe lesle hani klali Reb Chia. Hilkach loy mukminim basnisan beplukta elad benoiled ul besoif yibem. Only in the case where they gave birth, and in the end you did yibem l'divrei hakol, and according to everyone, and it's not speaking of machlokes. Since it's not speaking of machlokes, and you don't have the klal, my teretz is a good teretz. I didn't include anusas imoy because I'm not speaking of machlokes. Okay, I'll try to get into. I'm going to try to prepare tonight. It's again a continuation. We'll try to learn tomorrow morning before it gets too late, and we definitely have to learn on Purim. It's an Indian of learning on Purim. I wish everyone a freilich on Purim, and thank you for participating and listening to a very difficult share. I hope it made any sense.
Definitely
Thank you,
appreciate
Rabbi.
wine
Thank
more
you.
now.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Yeah, freilich on Purim.
Freilich on Purim.
I'm just confused because Benji was wearing a suit to start with. Was that